parents, and you are the sum total, the product of a red diaper doper baby upbringing, an RDDB. And right now the country is being run by the RDDBs, the red diaper doper babies. And boy, are we in trouble. The phone number, you know. The website's michaelsavage.com. Be here or be nowhere.
Savage. Michael Savage. Afternoons 3 to 7 on Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com.
Coming up next from San Fran Freak Show, The Savage Nation. From Talk 910 KNEW.
The fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. I'm Glenn Beck, weekdays, noon to 3 on Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
The number one thing I was talking about was immigrants and epidemics. Now, wait a minute. Why would I talk about that? Because I was talking to a friend today whose children have whooping cough, and it got me to thinking about how in the United States over the course of the 20th century, most of the major childhood diseases were wiped out. Whooping cough, measles, tuberculosis. This was a huge victory of science over 1,000 years of diseases and darkness. But over the past few decades, there has been a resurgence in these same diseases. Measles, which was declared eradicated in the year 2000, is now back. Progress against TB has slowed dramatically. And there has been a dramatic increase in the number of cases of whooping cough, over 10,000 cases in 2000 alone. And this doesn't even take the swine flu into account. Now, where did these diseases suddenly resurge from? The rise in these diseases has coincided with a less restrictive immigration policy. The more illegals that come in, the more diseases we get. And while the government might have you believe that this is because fewer people are buying into their vaccine mentality, it just so happens that these diseases are more prevalent amongst foreign-born by a margin of almost 10 to 1. The question is, do we want to protect our children or don't we? Do we want to protect our borders, our language, and our culture, or don't we? Obama is worked up about health care. Next, he's going to try to jam illegals down your throat. But maybe if we shut the borders to disease-ridden illegals, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. Remember, your grandparents or great-grandparents had to go through a health screening at Ellis Island before they were allowed into this beautiful country. Take a look at what it's become today. Last summer, I wrote Psychological Nudity, which were all of my radio stories, One-Armed Frank, etc. I'm going to take requests of which story you would like me to read to you of the Michael Savage radio story list, the playlist. Is it My Silent Brother, The Electric Blue Saddle Stitch Pants, Fat Al's Tuna, Nutty Friend, Crazy Mother, Coney Island Wax Figures, Dead Man's Pants, Tippy the Mad Dog, Woodchuck Bill, Happy and Sad Cufflinks, When Pasta Was Spaghetti? Was it First Autopsy? Was it Talking to a Bum About God? Was it Working on Cruise Lines? Was it Love by the Sewer Plant? Was it From Immigrant Son to Radio Stardom? Or any of the other favorites? Because they're all in Psychological Nudity, and I'd rather read them to you for a little bit before we get back to politics. I'll read one. Here's one. I liked Walter Cronkite and Purgatory of Manhood by Cyanide. So here's what I wrote. Who did I actually like in mainstream news? Let me just run on this for a minute. I did like Walter Cronkite because he had a deep voice and a mustache. He reminded me of an Italian dentist that I knew in the Bronx. You always had to behave yourself when you were around guys with mustaches like that because they could do weird things to you if you didn't. Cronkite was a very authoritative man, and how he presented the world is how I thought the world was. I might be eating steak and French fries and cherry vanilla ice cream on a TV tray, building up my negative cardiac profile while Dad was working. I'd be watching Cronkite. I had no idea what he was talking about. You see, kids don't really know what the news is, nor does the average adult really pay that much attention. I think we give media people too much power by thinking people really listen to their every word. Every time they put out another fib, I became incensed. Oh, look what they said. Look at the phony poll about Obama. But the fact is that they don't have that much direct influence on the average person. I get excited because I can see what they're doing, but do you? Dad would walk in at 6:30 at night, white from a day in the store. He might just have fought his way home through a snowstorm in his big green DeSoto. And here is his number one son getting fat, watching television, eating steak and cherry vanilla ice cream. He's starving and there's no food for him. I don't have to tell you what flashed through his eyes, my mother's, my mother's eyes, and the dog's eyes. He never thought I'd amount to anything. The arguments we would have, my God. You're ruining the kid. Look what you're doing. You're making him soft. You've got to make a kid hard, he used to yell. Look what you're doing to the kid. You're making him a weakling. He'll never amount to anything. He's soft. Look at him. Over there eating that steak and ice cream. He was probably starving at that point. He got home with the slush and galoshes, snow over the top, and his worst nightmare came true. His wife was catering to his son. Then I go on. The guy comes back from the hunt, and what's going on in the cave? The woman he is married to is cooking for the child who has done nothing that day but go to school. And look at girls. So it was soon thereafter that the whole soft life came to an end. No more ice cream, no steak, no TV trays. I was forced to go into his store's basement on Ludlow Street to clean bronzes. That's the beginning of my purgatory and my manhood. You know, this is very good writing. I was too close to it last year to realize how good this is. This is as good as the... You see why I like The Sopranos? I have a flavor. I'm editorializing now. I'm reading my own book like new. It's good writing because it's simple, basic. I grew up reading real writers like Hemingway, who wrote... See, he was a journalist first, and he taught me to write as succinctly as possible. Then, when I was studying to be a scientist, I learned scientific writing to write scientific papers, and the first rule was succinct, as few words as possible to get your ideas across. Anyone can write long sentences and the herefore, theretofore, and that's not the way to write. So I said, that's the beginning of my purgatory, my manhood. It says it like straight out, you know. I was cast down into the cellar where I used cyanide solution to clean bronze statues of their gorgeous patina. The statues were gorgeous. I learned a lot about art because I stared at them all day long. Now you may say, what do you know about art? Well, I know quality from junk, artistry from fakery. The rest is a matter of taste. Now, let's analyze that line together. Look what I just wrote. What do you know about art? I know quality from junk, artistry from fakery. The rest is a matter of taste. That sentence is succinct, and it says it all. Anyway, so I'll go back to the book. So these figures would come in with a brown or black patina, which is the result of oxidation over time. The patina was sublime. But the nouveaux who were buying the figures to turn them into lamps wanted them to glitter like gold. Underneath the patina was the original bronze metal. I'll take that. I'll turn it into a lamp. Mount the thing. Blah, blah, blah. They'd buy it, and a certain number would be left for the weekend that I'd have to clean down in the basement. Down into the dirty, horrible, dank dungeon, filled with huge old wine barrels. A toilet from hell. No mirror on the wall, except the shattered shards speckled from the acid that hit it. I'm down there from a young age with a toothbrush, scrubbing away at the patina. I don't really know if the cyanide was that bad. If it was, I'd be dead by now, I think. Perhaps it protected me from something. Hey, Dad, explain to me how I can use cyanide, since I understand from basic chemistry that they use cyanide balls at San Quentin. They put a guy in the chair and strap his head over the bucket, and the pellets drop in. Then the gas comes up, and he's dead in a few seconds. Dad, why would you put me in a basement with cyanide pellets to clean bronzes? Here's the answer now. This is right out of the Bible. I couldn't believe it. It took me 30 years to figure this out. This was a repetition of Abraham and Isaac. You see, Abraham picked up the knife, and God said, slay your son. He didn't even ask, my son? You sure you mean my son? Your son, I want him dead. All right, I'm a good guy, I'll kill my son for you. He grabs the kid, grabs him by the neck, like an Islamo-fascist, and is about to cut his throat when God says, wait, I was just kidding, I was only testing you. Now, no one ever talked about what that did to Isaac. The father he trusted suddenly grabs him by the neck and wants to cut his throat. You know, all you hear about is Abraham was so loyal and listened to God. But what did it do to Isaac? It drove him nuts. He never trusted anyone after that. His own father wanted to cut his throat because he was listening to someone in the sky.